Hi, this is Trina, aka Mineral Mama. Let me ask y'all something. Do you believe in coincidences? Do you believe that it's a coincidence that your baby got learning disabilities? Do you think it's a coincidence that your baby got a low IQ? You don't think that's a coincidence, right? You just think that's normal. You think it's normal because everybody, there's a lot of learning disabilities going on, a lot of ADD and underperforming and diagnosis and all these, your children struggling in school, the speech therapists don't know what to do, the doctor don't know what to do. So you think because everybody have this issue, you think that it's normal. You've been conditioned to think that it's normal. It's not normal. The only reason that your children are struggling with severe learning disabilities, like mine was, okay, improved drastically, okay? That's my son, that is. But y'all got to get this in your head. The whole world, these other countries know about the benefits of needing the elements, all 4 elements, right? Here's the problem. You don't know what the 4 elements are. And I understand that we didn't know what the 4 elements are because they tricked us. We went to school and they told us that the elements were the 4 elements of matter. And they told us that the elements of matter was earth, air, fire, and water. And when they told us that, we believed it. Right? And from there we graduated from school because we were conditioned to believe all of that crap, right? Those are not the names of the 4 elements. We allow somebody, systems, to translate to us, for us, what the Creator meant by the firmament, right? Remember that whole beginning where God created the firmament? And this was man's way of trying to translate it down into the 4 elements, and they call it the 4 elements of matter: earth, air, fire, and water. But I'm going to tell you how you will know that's not true. And everybody on the planet believes this, okay? Everybody thinks the same thing. Everybody was taught the same crap. But the 4 elements of matter is not earth, air, fire, and water. Okay? I talk about it in my book. I'll put the link to my book in the description below so that you can get the book. But for now, meditate on this part. Because, for example, if somebody had told you that the 4 elements of matter were really the 4 elements of life, if they had named it the 4 elements of life, and since they didn't name it that, it needs to be renamed the 4 elements of life, because don't nobody remember the 4 elements of matter anyway. Because if they called it the 4 elements of life, you would have paid attention. You would have been like, oh, in order for me to have life, I only need to know what 4 elements are. I don't have to know biology. I really don't have to know science in that great. I mean, if you want to study those things, fine. Don't have nothing against them, right? But the elements of matter, it's the elements of life. And that's why we're struggling and got all these so-called diseases and all these, our children with all this low IQ, right? And all our children struggling at the daycare. They're struggling in the classroom, elementary school, middle school, high school, because that brain, they keep tricking y'all. And you think, everybody think, oh, it's a classification of autism. There's a classification of low IQ, a classification for intellectual disability, another classification for bipolar, another one for depression, another one for schizophrenia, another one when a child is struggling with their speech. Guess what, y'all? You got one brain that got some toxins over either on the left side, on the right side. It's some toxins that just needs to be removed, and that's it. It's not even that hard after a while when you start thinking about it. And just follow me. Read the book. It'll all make sense. No, because other than that, the other stuff, y'all, it just don't make any sense. And because it didn't make any sense to me, let me tell you what I did. I got some of that iodine and some of that ocean, and I started giving it to my son. And in 2 weeks, he had a learning disability, severe learning disability, from the time he was born all the way up to high school. Okay? All the way up to high school. He needed the iodine in the womb. He needed it when he was a toddler. Your children need it. They need it early. Finland over there figured this out 200 years ago. Don't everybody else know this but y'all. They figured it out 200 years ago. Japan figured it out hundreds of years ago, right? Africa, man, they got that on lock. But it's a couple countries, and this is one of them. Y'all don't have a clue how to raise your children's intelligence. And if you do it when they're a baby, then you'll have a 99% graduation rate like they do over there in Finland. Your children would be part of the generational intelligence, because that's where we should have been. But instead, a lot of our children now end up missing. You know why they missing? Because their intelligence is so low. Their understanding is so low. And when you have a people whose understanding is so low, guess what? You can manipulate them. That's why they say he who controls the information controls the world. You can manipulate them. You can kidnap them. You can talk them into any and everything. And that's why these kids in Ohio and different places are missing, are struggling. And all that is connected, y'all, to the diseases that the parents are struggling with. So it's just not the children, because the same supplements you give that baby to increase his IQ, and it's not too late, right? Let me give y'all a quick example how I say other people already know this stuff. So over in rural China, and when I update the book, I'm going to add this story. There's a little boy, because they were in an area where they were iodine deficient too. And so they added some iodine drip to the water source. And this boy had been taking his clothes off, this young man, been taking his clothes off because he didn't understand that he needed to keep his clothes on in public. Started taking iodine. Guess what, y'all? His IQ increased. He don't bring shame onto his parents anymore. He understands how to keep his clothes on. If he was over here, he would have been institutionalized. He would have been locked up. He would have been in jail, all because he didn't have any ocean supplement called an iodine. It's just one of them. In my book, Stolen Intellect, Recovering the Missing Link to Generational Health, I talk about some other ones too. Okay? So anyway, and then there's another story so y'all can understand how this thing works. Let me think of another quick testimony that was in a book also. When one comes to me, because there are so many, like I said, my son is a testimony, and he has his own debit card. He makes music. He got so much music on different platforms I didn't even know that he had. But the bottom line, y'all, your children are supposed to have a high IQ. They're supposed to have an IQ, but if you're not listening, right? If you're not understanding, if you don't take this in, if you all know somebody that has children with learning disability, and I know you do, right? Because it's over 500 million children and adults who are struggling, that can't read, that are illiterate. They might not tell you that they can't read, but you know your baby can't read. I'm talking about the older adults, because they know how to navigate through life. They done figured out how to survive, but we're not supposed to be in survival mode. But let me go back real quick, y'all, to the lie. the lie of the four elements of matter, right? That should have been called the four elements. That's how easy God made this. Divine intelligence made this job so easy. You only have to remember four things. But they lied about those things because they told you it was the four elements of life. We need to rename it. But they told y'all the four elements of matter: earth, air, fire, and water. So here's an example. When the sun is shining, we don't say the fire is shining. It's a beautiful day outside. Don't nobody say that. And when the house is on sun, or don't nobody say the house is on sun when the house is on fire. So if the house is on fire, don't nobody call the fire department because the house is on sun. Those words are not interchangeable. You can't interchange the words fire and sun. They have two different meanings. And when you be using when they use the same word and that word has two different meanings, it just causes confusion. And divine intelligence, God is not the author of confusion. Then here's the other thing. You don't get vitamin D from the fire. You only get vitamin D, sorry y'all, you only get vitamin D from the sun, right? Here's another example. They say earth, air, fire, and water. Which water, y'all? We got well water, we got ocean water, we got lake water, river water, spring water, we got mountain water, we got a glass of water, we got a bucket of water, we got rainwater. Which water is it, y'all? That's the part about everything being so freaking confusing. Then you can't even find the four elements because it's easy to get lost in the sauce. And that's what they meant. It was designed that way. So you couldn't keep up with four things. That huge earth, right? This, the sun, the ocean, and air, right? The four things you need to be able to fight disease, to have a high IQ, to have good health. And that's why you don't have health and good health, and you struggle with more diseases because you're just deficient in either the earth. How can you be deficient in the earth? I have an example of that in the book, quite a few examples, as a matter of fact, right? But your babies need iodine. Stop being tricked. Russia was the other place. That's what I was going to say. There was a little boy in Russia, because they have an iodine program that I was reading about. And the teacher and the one little boy called this other little boy slow. And the little boy started crying. And he went to his teacher. And he didn't call him slow. He said, "Are you iodine deficient or something? Because you acting slow." And when I read that article, I said to myself, here's a boy in middle school who understands that iodine from the ocean contributes to your genius, contributes to your intelligence. And then here's somebody trying to tell you, but you've been so conditioned to believe everything your doctor say. And when you go say, "Doctor, what's wrong with my baby?" He don't understand. "Doctor, what's wrong with my baby?" And all they did was label it, because they created this whole reality, this whole alternate reality. And in this alternate reality, it's a disease reality. It's like the Matrix, when the whole time you had health over there. That's why they don't do preventive medicine, because prevention is free. But I guess y'all don't want free. And if you don't want free, then your children are going to keep struggling. My son, he's not struggling anymore. Now, one day, I hope that he'll be able to drive. You know, we'll see about that. And I still work on him, y'all. But it's nowhere where it was. I mean, the synapses in his brain, them neurons in his brain started firing. And all it took, y'all, to notice the difference, it took 2 weeks. 2 weeks. That was it. He started doing homework. He started retaining. He started drawing artistic type drawing. No more sticks and circles. His understanding expanded. That boy got a debit card and a credit card. And not monitor, but he got a debit card and a credit card, make his own orders. I'm so thankful. And I want that for y'all. I want that for you. I want that for your babies. Our baby's supposed to be a genius. They're supposed to be intelligent. They're supposed to have that 99% graduation rate. Why you think Finland got 99% graduation rate, y'all? They've been nourishing that brain, that generational intelligence I'm talking about. They figure that out. But they ain't telling you. Nobody, they're keeping that a secret. A 200-year secret. 200 years. Right? They going about, and they over here basically laughing at us. They got advertisements, y'all. If you want your children to have perfectly straight teeth, then give them ocean supplements. If you want them to have spaces in between your teeth, not be like the overcrowdedness like those children over there, you know, in other countries, right? That's pretty much what they're saying. So if you want your children to have strong teeth, healthy teeth, oh, and if you want your children to have a strong back and a straight back, take your iodine supplements. Nobody's telling y'all that. You're not getting any of these downloads or memos. They're not saying nothing to you. Nothing. Because behind every diagnosis, they got huge organizations making money. Huge industries making money. So you're just part of the money-making system. But I'm here. I'm broadcasting, right? And that's what the Creator gave me to do, to keep broadcasting. And I'm going to keep broadcasting. And it might sound like I'm saying the same thing over and over in every video. And I'll keep saying the same thing over and over in every video until y'all start giving your children some freaking ocean supplements so those babies will stop struggling in just 2 weeks and be intelligent just that fast. You're going to be so shocked. You're not going to realize it was this simple. But all we needed the whole time was the 4 elements of life, not the 4 elements of matter. You need the 4 elements of life because iodine comes from the ocean. And you don't live by the ocean. Most of the world don't live by the ocean. So most of the world is struggling. And they struggling with what they call thyroid issues. But guess what, y'all? The thyroid needed the ocean.